Hi guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this mini lesson, we're going to be learning what I'm calling cascading blues. So as you guys saw and heard in the performance, we're playing a 1-4-5 blues in the key of C, but we're going to be playing it using cascading licks. Now, a cascading lick is a lick that's played in a descending pattern, and it can be played using open string notes, fretted notes, or a combination of both. So the lick that we're playing for this tune is simply a Mixolydian scale that walks backwards. So if I play in C, you can hear and see that I'm starting with the lowest pitch, and then we begin our descent. So we're going up an octave, we can call that 8, to flat 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, back to that low root. But to jazz it up and give it kind of a Campanella effect, we're going to kind of shift positions up here. Get a more bell-like sound. So kind of cool. So that's basically what we're doing with this little mini lesson in a nutshell. We're going to be playing these cool sounding cascading licks. We're going to be playing them in C, F, and G, and we're going to follow that 12-bar blues form to a T. So that brings up a good point. If you are new to understanding what the 12-bar blues form is, jump into this lesson before you kick into this one. I'll also link it in the description box below. And if you had no idea what I was talking about with that scale, the Mixolydian scale, you may want to jump into our music theory course. I'll link that in the description box below as well. All right, so with that said, let's take a step back. Let's talk a little bit about this lesson. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to play the entire 12-bar blues form. And if you want to get the tabs to print off to follow along with, that's going to be available at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com, do a search for ML005, that's the lesson number for this lesson. Now also on that page will be the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish, just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into learning it. A couple things we want to touch on first. You can use a high G or a low G ukulele for this tune. It doesn't matter because we are playing only on strings 3, 2, and 1. The only time we hit the 4th string is when we end the tune with a C major chord. So not a big deal which tuning you use. The second thing I want to talk about is our right hand approach for finger picking. Now, to keep it really simple, you can use a 3-finger approach. So thumb would get string 3, index gets string 2, middle gets string 1. But what I'm going to be doing is a hybrid. I'm going to be doing piccato picking, which is fancy terminology. That means we're alternate picking with these 2 fingers. So the middle finger leads, followed by the index. So if we take just the A string, looks like that. So you start with middle, then follow with index, and you keep alternating. If this is a new technique for you that you've never tried before, you want to dive deeper into it, check out this lesson. It's called La Gitanita, and it is a flamenco tune that's super fun to play, and it uses that technique plus the rasgueado barrel roll strum. So it teaches you both of those. So check out that. I'll link it in the description box below as well. And that's actually it. Only 2 things to cover. So let's jump into this lesson. So I'm going to put up the first 2 bars of tab and take a look at measure 1. You're going to notice it's identical to measure 2. Now our first note, it's going to be an open C. And that's actually a really important note because we want this open C to ring and sustain over the notes that are played after it. It just gives it a beautiful sustain sound, and in this position that we're playing out of with all these open strings, it really has that campanella type of effect, right? Campanella meaning little bell in Italian, and the key goal of campanella is to have a ringing sound, so you want every note to ring into the next, and having that C sustain and ring over those notes that follow it really help to accomplish that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about with playing this first bar is that we're going to be playing out of the third position. So all that means is this. If you watch my fingers, notice how I'm assigning a fret per finger. So if I play on the third string, I've got index, middle, ring, pinky. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth. As I go to the second string, same thing. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, index, middle, ring, pinky. Same with the first string. So if I assign a finger per fret across all three strings, remember we're not playing on the fourth string, that means that anytime you see a note that falls on the third fret, you're going to use your index finger. Anytime you see a note that falls on the sixth fret, you're going to use your pinky. Anytime you see a note that falls on the fifth fret, you're going to use your ring. And as you can see, we don't have anything on the fourth fret. But if you look at the very last note, it goes to the second fret. We're going to break out of this position, and we're just going to shift down a half step. But we'll talk about that in a second. So anytime you see a 3, use your index. Anytime you see a 6, use your pinky. Anytime you see a 5, use your ring finger. Keep that in mind and you'll know which finger to use. So let's start with the open C. And then we're going to use our index to play the third fret on the A string. Then the sixth fret on the E string with our pinky. And then the open A. That gives us our first 4 notes. So we have... Okay, try that with me. 1 and 2 and 0, 3, 6, 0. So you can call it out either way. After that, we're going to the third fret on the E string, then the fifth fret on the C string, then the open E, and then we're going to shift down with our index finger to the second fret on the C string. So we have 0, 3, 6, 0, 3, 5, 0, 2. Okay, so take a second, just hit pause, remember the position, and keep in mind that everything is eighth notes, so you want to keep it nice and steady. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just play through it about 4 times. I want you to jump in after the first or second time and see if you can play along with me. We'll go at a bit of a medium tempo. Something like that. So if it's a little bit too fast for you, you can always use the cog in the YouTube player to slow it down. But let's see if we can try it together. So come in after the first or second time. Nice. How did you do? So we're looping this because, again, if you look at measure 2, it's identical to measure 1. And if we put up measure 3 and 4, they're identical to measure 1 and measure 2. So the first 4 bars out of this 12-bar blues we're playing out of is out of the 1 chord C. And we're just playing that same lick 4 times in a row. So literally you just want to loop it 4 times. And that's it. So it's as simple as that. Of course, getting it nice and fluid, crystal clear notes, getting that sustained, that's where the bulk of your practice and work is going to go into. Now, let's go ahead and jump into measure 5 and 6. It's going to be played out of the F chord if I don't hit my ukulele. So we're going to be moving our position up to the 5th fret. And it's going to be a little bit more challenging here because we aren't going to be doing fingertip playing like we did out of the C chord, like that. Instead, we're going to be barring. So I want you to bar across the 5th fret strings 1, 2, and 3. And if I play this F lick, notice how these are the fingers that are going to be doing the work. My index finger literally just stays anchored. So that begs the question, why are we barring and anchoring our index finger? Well, the answer is that we want that bass note, that low F note right there, to sustain over the notes that follow it. So it's the same concept as the C. We wanted the C to sustain, and in the same way we want the F to sustain. And the only way to accomplish that is to bar it. Okay? So with bar chords, proper left hand form is vital to making them ring out and sustain. So proper left hand form isn't only what's happening in front of the neck, it's also what's happening behind the neck. So you can see this little U-shaped gap I've got right here. Where my thumb is placed, that's really vital as well. If you're new to studying proper left hand form as it applies to bar chords, but also if you want to recap on some of these cowboy chords, these basic chords, jump into this lesson. I'll link it in the description box below as well. So assuming you've got form in key and checked off, let's go ahead and learn what we're playing for the F. So barring across 5, strings 1, 2, and 3, we're going to go ahead and play the 3rd string. And then keep in mind we're playing position 5, 6, 7, 8, so you know which finger to use for which fret. We're going to go ahead and take our pinky, put it on the 8th fret of string 1, play that note, go to 6, same string, go to 5, which is barred, then 8 on string 2, 6 on string 2, give me a pull off to 5, which is barred, and then 7 on string 3. So this one's a little bit easier than what we did for C. So again, we start with our root, which is 5 on C, let that sustain, then we start our walk down, 8, 6, 5 on string 1, 8, 6, pull off to 5 on string 2, then 7 on 3. Keep it nice and steady. Let's see if we can try that together. And let's do the same way. We'll do it 4 times in a row. See if you can come in on the first or after the first or after the second time. Nice. And notice that we are playing the F chord here only 2 times, right? Keep that 12 bar blues in mind. So bar 5 and 6 covers the 4 chord, the F chord. Now after this, we're going to go back to the C lick. So bar 7 and 8, we're back to playing the exact same C lick, but look at measure 8. Look at the very end. We're actually omitting the very last note. So remember when we shifted down to that 2nd fret on the 3rd string, we're actually not going to do that in measure 8 because we have to jump all the way up in measure 9 to the G chord. So that's all the way up to the 7th fret. So if we omit that last note, that 2nd fret, it buys us a little bit more time to do this big jump all the way up the neck. So going back to measure 7 and 8, I'm going to go ahead and play through these 2 and just notice that I'm going to omit that last note, and that'll buy me more time to move up to the 7th fret. So here's what 7, 8, and I'll play into 9 so we can see that jump. So it sounds like this. So pretty cool, right? So omitting that last note just makes it a little bit easier for us to get up the neck. Now, as we go into measure 9 and 10, remember this is our 5 to 4 kind of turnaround in the blues that we have. So we're going the G chord, F. Okay, so here's the beauty. If you look at 9, that's just going to be the exact same thing you did for the F, moved up a whole step. So that exact same movement for our left hand and right hand. Everything's identical. We're just up a whole step. So go ahead and bar flat on the 7th fret and play the 3rd string and then start the walk down. 10, 8, 7, 2nd string, 10, 8, pull off, then 9 with the ring. So everything is the same. We're just playing from the 7th to the 10th fret. Then we go back to F, so just drop it down a whole step. And we play the exact same F riff. So let's do this. Let's play G to F, and we'll loop it a few times, okay? So come in after the first time. Nice. Now after this, we're back to the C lick. So if we look at 11, It's identical to what we did previously for C. But if we look at 12, we're actually going to be ending this 12-bar blues. We have a really cool chromatic run. So let's take a look at what's happening. We're going to be starting with the open C, then we're going to play the open E, then take your index finger, put it on the first fret of the E string, go to the second fret, then we're going to shift position up, so we're going to do a double stop. So I want you to take the middle finger, put it on 4 on string 3, and your index goes 3 on string 2. And you can see a little arrow, a little down arrow. So I like to do a little strum, but if you want, you can pluck it. Doesn't matter, either or works. But I'm going to do a little strum, just string 3 and 2. Then use my ring finger to play the 4th fret on string 2. So that gives me my chromatic movement. So chromatically, if we play as a single note, open, first, second, third, fourth. So really cool. So again, starting with the open C, open E, first fret, second fret, shift up to the double stop position, 2 and 1. We're going to do a little strum. Then with the ring finger to 4 on string 2. After that, we're going to finish up with the first string open to the second fret with the index finger. And I like to keep these 2 fingers planted just to build a little bit of sustain, but you can lift them up and just keep the index finger down. Up to you. But that's what I've got. So let's see if we can try that together. And here's the other thing. You can see RIT, retardando. That's going to start on that double stop. So this measure, you want to play the first 4 notes at the same tempo as the rest of the tune. But when you get to this part, start to slow down and do a little retardando. Kind of like that. But let's see if we can keep it steady for now. So we have something like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Nice. And to end the tune, just move the index finger up and you've got a basic C chord that you can strum down on. And that's going to be everything, guys. So if we cycle through this entire 12-bar blues, we have 4 times of the C lick. Bar 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to move up to the F for 2 bars. Bar 5, 6, back to the C for 7 and 8. Remember, cut the last note out, so you're going to end on that open E. That buys you time to go up for 9, which is G. 10 is F. Back to C for 11. Then we have our chromatic run for 12. Start to retardando, and you end on a C. So that's everything for this 12-bar blues. But as you continue practicing, I would suggest first off, just making sure you've got the 4 bars you're learning, because in reality, we're only playing 4 bars of music. We've got the C lick, the F lick, the G lick, and then that ending. So it's really 4 bars of music, but there's so much repetition that it gives us, in reality, 12 bars plus, well, the extra measure for the ending C chord. But work on the C, the F, the G lick, plus that ending chromatic lick. Get those down first, then start to work on the transitions. So, for example, going C to the F, so bar 5 to 6, work on that transition because it's a little bit hard jumping up and down the neck. After that, just remember the key little subtle things about this. You want the sustain of that root note. Even for the ending lick, that open C sustains for the first half, the double stop sustains the second half. Okay, so remember that subtle things, they make a big difference in playing. And once you get comfortable with all of that, then start to put everything together, all 12 bars. Start slow, but keep the tempo nice and steady, and then gradually work to boost tempo. I played the performance somewhere between 155 to 160 beats per minute. That's as fast as I can go, keeping everything steady, timing wise, keeping the sustain, having clean, crystal clear notes you can hear. That's my max speed, so see if you can get to your max speed with this. And if you don't want to do that, this tune sounds great at a slower tempo as well. Just throwing out an idea that this could be a speed piece that you can work on. So kind of a fun extra goal. So guys, I hope you enjoyed learning this piece. It's really fun to play the blues and put a twist on it with the cascading licks. But I wanted to give you a friendly reminder, if you wanted to get the tabs to print off, keep for your records, that was available at this link right here. Or you can go to the site, rockclass101.com, do a search for ML005. That's the lesson number for this lesson. And don't forget to, on that page was the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. So you can literally hit play, watch the tabs scroll across in real time. You can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed. Just a great tool in learning this tune that much easier. So guys, again, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you in the next lesson. Take care.